As Darth Sidious set out on his training to become a Sith, his master Darth Plagueis promised him that he would learn not just to tap into the power of the dark side, but he would become powerful enough to become the architect of the future of the galaxy. But Sidious's early training was brutal. Not only was he pushed to his limits physically, but mentally as well. Plagueis demanded to know his apprentice's greatest strength so he knew how best to undermine him. His greatest fear, so he knew what he must be made to face. And most importantly for today's video, that which Sidious craved the most, so that Plagueis could deny him of this weakness. In this video expose, we'll look at what Plagueis recognized to be Sidious's greatest weakness after his first decade of training, and see how his being denied this desire resulted in Sidious's finding an unexpected apprentice of his own. After 10 brutal years of training as Plagueis' apprentice, Sidious grew to be frustrated with the speed of his progression. He knew that although the Sith may have been reduced to folklore within the galaxy, there were still many worlds on which there were not just important connections to the dark side, but to the teachings of the ancient Sith. More than anything, Sidious wanted to visit these worlds, finally letting his desire be known to his master Plagueis roughly 30 years before the outbreak of the Clone War. But Plagueis recognized that this was his apprentice's greatest weakness, and intentionally denied Sidious's travel to these planets. For Plagueis, this craving brought out Sidious's impatience, wherein his apprentice saw no value in learning about other important areas, such as lightsaber combat, force suggestion, or the healing arts. Instead, Plagueis knew that Sidious had become fixated upon obtaining the power he believed was waiting for him on planets like Korriban and Dromon Kaas. But there was more to it than just mere impatience. Plagueis also recognized that Sidious's lust for traveling to ancient Sith planets was starting him down a path that would expose him to true weakness as a Sith. As Plagueis would explain to his apprentice, fixation on the lessons from the ancient Sith and artifacts would prevent Sidious from discovering the dark side in his own way, to perfect its power and influence in a fashion of his own design. While there was value in the real knowledge from the ancient Sith, Plagueis wanted to ensure that Sidious found his own path through the dark side, and to use it in a way that truly benefited his own traits and personality. And thus, just as Plagueis promised on day 1 of their training, seeing Sidious's greatest weakness as his potential to become too fixated on discovering the methods of the dark side as others define them, Plagueis denied his apprentice access to these sources. Of course, Sidious would become the definition of patience, learning to play the long game in manipulating the galaxy toward his own desired machinations. So too, thanks to Plagueis, would he find his own path through the dark side, obtaining the mastery necessary to bring the Sith grand plan to completion. But there was another unexpected result of Plagueis' teachings. Having been denied access to planets like Korriban and Ziost, Sidious would respect his master's wishes, but he would still travel to darkside planets where he could. Plagueis' restrictions would ultimately bring Sidious to the planet of Dathomir, a planet he recognized as being powerful in the Force. It was during one of his trips to Dathomir where Sidious would feel a faint pulse within the Force, eventually guiding him towards the Mother of Maul. This interaction would act as the catalyst whereby Maul would become apprentice to Sidious, giving the Sith Lord a powerful ally in which to carry out necessary missions for the Sith from the shadows. So there we have it, what Plagueis saw as Sidious's greatest weakness. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter @SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me, for finding your own path.